to turn to Reverend Durley now, because I want to ask a similar question to him, which is, how you see Jesus and the Christian scriptures speaking to voting in a 21st century American democracy.
I think it's so important to understand now, we've got a lot of different discussions around a lot of different issues that's negatively impacting this democratic process. And when we come to climate change, when we come to what we're all about, we have to start from the premises that we are in an ethical, moral warfare right now. And when you start talking about ethics and morality, that's where the faith community must no longer remain silent. When I think about scriptures, even in the Old Testament that Rabbi Dobbs can talk about, when we go back to Genesis, that God created a perfectly balanced ecological world, and we are simply stewards. We have a moral and an ethical responsibility to try to keep that ecological balance. When I read in the Old Testament from Isaiah, where it says, if we do not follow God's commandments ecologically, so ecological consequences can result. There is a connection between the moral world and the natural world. We have an obligation. So when I teach, when I'm talking about that, I have to put it in perspective where it says there, the earth dries up and withers, the world languishes and withers, the heavens languish together with the earth. The earth lies polluted under its inhabitants, for they have transgressed laws, violated the statutes, and broken the everlasting covenant. That's what the prophet Isaiah said back then, that we were breaking the laws that were already put in place. Jesus talked about that in Luke. He says this, but when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection. What we talk about is that we have a moral and ethical conversation to involve everyone, from the political, from the legislative, from the economic or the business world, and certainly from the moral world. I find that climate change is no respecter of color or faith. As someone earlier stated, we're all in this together. So we speak from our perspective that we all have, and as you know, my involvement bringing the civil rights movement into it, it was so critical. We did not make a distinction now between the environment movement and our civil rights movement, because we were fighting for not only justice and equality, but also equity when it came to those principles. And all of us were based from a biblical perspective. So I think that Jesus would take the point that we are our neighbor's keeper. And our neighbors are not necessarily the person who's right next to us, but our neighbors are plants, our neighbors are bees, our neighbors are the trees, our neighbors, and we're all in this together. We just have different forms of how we present. So we teach from the point, and particularly now, opening up those in the Christian faith to understanding what Jesus would say about this. And we even tied Dr. Martin Luther King into that. What would he say at this particular time? So those are the kinds of tenets that we try to do, that we understand that we have a moral and an ethical responsibility, and that transcends so many things that we're facing in today's world. So that's what we try to teach. And we always say, organize, strategize, and then mobilize. What good is it to educate a people with information and we not give them a channel to exercise those the elements of what it is that we're trying to lead them to? And it all comes down to one word, as I said earlier. We must once again reestablish hope. Hope. That's being desecrated across all of our faiths. Just a hope that it will be not a better tomorrow, but a better today.